Hey Goobs, it's me Chief, aka the first recommended today for some apparent reasons. So, in today's video we are going to look at, well, quite an interesting topic this video, and that is, what are the risks of being a furry? Yes, you heard me right, risks. Now, I'm not trying to make this video as overdramatic as possible, honestly I'm really not, but instead I wanted to make this video just to be more of, I guess you would say awareness? I don't really know, I'm not too sure. I mean, I just thought about making a video such as this because I thought it'd be really useful for anyone new joining the fandom or anyone who's still in the fandom and wanting just to know. Or just out of basic curiosity or whatever you want to watch this video. Most likely for entertainment purposes. So, let's just get straight into it, shall we? Okay, so one of the first risks I actually want to quickly get off the boat is harassment. Now, harassment or bullying or whatever you want to see it as, pretty much someone just being a prick to you. Now, this is a big risk in the furry fandom, I feel, but this only mostly happens when you either go to a furry convention in fursuit, or you do something in fursuit, or whatever, or even just someone knows that you're a furry, like say from your school, and they're just treated like a piece of shit. Now, personally, the best thing to do in this sort of scenario is straight away just ignore them. You know, that's the only advice I've got. I'm not a professional. But, however, though, what I will say is that this is definitely a risk not only in the furry fandom, but, however, in any other community, such as the anime community, or any other niche fandom or group that is, I guess you would say, looked at weirdly, I suppose. Like, I'm gonna just, be honest, is that this is just a small mid-risk. I mean, it happens every single time to any other person in any other community that's weird, such as, Hell of a Boss, or, I don't know, even the LGBTQ community can even get that sort of harassment, but that's a different sort of harassment. It's not the same, so I'm not trying to label it as the same thing, but I'm just saying that other groups and communities, no matter what, do get harassed too. Okay, so the next one that I actually want to talk about is going to be a little bit odd and a little bit weird. But if you've been a furry for a bit now, you probably know about this, or if you know about the fandom, you would know that there's going to be some really weird encounters in this community, such as meeting some proper weirdos, or just people that make you feel uncomfortable, or even, way worse, where there could just be like a P. Diddy, or a PDF, or a groomer, or whatever, probably even a zoophile, gets even fucking worse. But I'm not really going to get into them sort of topics. I'm just going to go straight to the point and just labeling anybody who's a part of that thing to be a freaky furry. Now, the best thing to do for that sort of situation is just straight away block them. They are not worth your time, but it is a massive risk, especially if you're like a minor and they're like a P. Diddy. Yeah, I would say watch yourself, especially. Now, this is actually a big risk in the fandom, I feel, but it also can happen in any. I'm not going to keep saying it. I'm just going to just be honest. Is that it can happen in most communities, but I feel like the furry fandom has it as a bit of a shitty stereotype. Now, personally, I'm going to be honest. Most furries do not accept these weirdos. I'm going to be for real, alright? I'm going to be straight away down to earth with people who probably hate the fandom or whatever. No, it's not like we glazy sort of people. We don't encourage these people to do what they do. They just join and poof, that's what they become sometimes. Now, I'm not saying this is like a big chunk. I don't really know. Not a professional. But, or not over to my research. But, however, the best thing to do, especially, is just block these people straight away. Now, I don't know if this is going to be like a common theme with these sort of weirdos, but personally I've only run into like 2 at most. That's that. Not a big deal. I mean, to me though, I've been on the internet for a while, probably when I was like a young kid, so I'm actually surprised I've not been fucking groomed online already, but I suppose I've got out of that ring now, thank God. Not the ring, but the risk of being, P. Diddy'd, I suppose. Okay, so, the last, I think it's the last anyway, I'm not too sure, but one of the next risks in the fandom is relationship issues. Now, you're gonna think, what the fuck do you mean by that, Jiv? And let me tell you. So, the best way to describe it, and I'm probably gonna give like a very numbed down of this, but because the furry fandom has been pretty much in the media, been a lot recently, especially with also there being like a protest at one point about furries, I think it was like a school protest or some shit, but it was about furrians, I feel, not furries, but whatever, that's not the case. The point is that relationship issues are going to be a bit, I think they're going to become a bit more of a common thing, but I think they've always existed in the fandom if you want to be a furry, is that some people might not understand you being a furry, and some people, such as your friends, definitely could possibly leave you just because you have that niche or weird hobby. Now, personally, to me, as a furry myself, I've gonna be honest, it's not based to acknowledge these people, because if they're not willing just to stay by you for that, then I don't think they've been a real friend. Now, I know this sounds a bit harsh for me to say, like I said, I don't know your status, I don't know what's going on, like I said, but I just think if people are gonna straight away leave you for that, then I just don't think they've been real people to you. But, however though, I'm not gonna say this for like family and shit, it's only just friends. So don't get it mixed up with me thinking I'm talking about family and friends. I'm only speaking about friends here, what I mean by relationship issues. But I will say this, is that obviously family can definitely say, yeah, no, I don't like you being a furry, fuck you, sort of thing, but I don't think it's that deep, to be honest. It's just a hobby. Like, sure, they can call it weird and stuff, but that doesn't mean they're gonna like hate your guts. Hopefully not, anyway. But at the same time though, it is quite a really risky hobby to join, because it's like, even just like friends can leave you, but I'm not going to say family can, but it, you know, family might have a negative view when you just having that hobby, if they don't understand the hobby to a good level, nor understand it's just a hobby, not an identity, because I feel like that's what many people who like diss on the fandom nowadays think. They think it's an identity, not a hobby, which is actually going to get really jumbled up and mixed up. But however though, let's also try and talk about the one of the other relationship issues being like just relationships, like, you know, dating and loving and stuff. I mean, some people actually might find furries really unattractive, so people might just leave it just because of that. I don't fucking know. Like people can just straight away just like diss on you or whatever, but that just I think that just comes with just like being in this community. It's like a fucking contract, you know, it's just a chance. But I'm not going to say that what I've said about the relationship issues things is like guaranteed, but I will say keep it in mind, because, you know, it's sometimes it just isn't really worth it. And also, especially if, like, you know, someone really does not like furries, and you know, it's probably not best to let them know that you're a furry. That's all I'm saying, because like I say, being a furry is a hobby, not an identity. And that pretty much means you get to express that hobby when you want. It isn't like something you've got to be 24/7, nor is it something that you've got to carry on being. So you can obviously mask it or hide it, I guess, if people don't agree with it, which honestly I do myself. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so there was one last one on the list that was, well, being a local stigma around furries. Okay, this is the last one, and honestly, it's pretty bad to be up here, like at the end of the video, because it should be one of the start things, to be honest, to like build it up. But however, it seems like it's just made its way to be the final one. But it kind of makes sense with this local stigma thing. It is quite an obvious one, and that is, well, there's a negative reputation with the furry fandom, and it is quite obviously known, especially with Texas making the Furry Act, I think, or something like that, the furry law, I don't fucking know. And pretty much what it's supposed to do is restrict like furry stuff in schools, which honestly, well even furry stuff, it's actually better, because it's not even furry stuff, it's actually just furry and stuff. But because people can't tell the difference between a furry and a furry, obviously they're going to pick the common term, which is furry. So yeah, that's what they've done. They've just said the Furries Act, and that's that. And pretty much, I don't really care about this, to be honest. I don't think many people should. It's not that big of a deal, I don't think. But like I said, I don't know the act too well. All I know is that they've just restricted like gear and stuff from like, you know, like ferrying stuff, which is pretty mid, I suppose. Like pretty shit, but oh well. But it's like with this negative stigma, it's like this is where you're going to get most likely judged, and this is where the negative and the risks start coming into play into this video. The negative stigma is definitely something that many people definitely can understand and definitely get behind, and it is quite obvious, you know, that it does exist. But it is a massive risk in playing as a, well, not playing, but like being a furry, because it's a very small world, I feel, and some people can just straight up just hate on you just because of that. Now, there's nothing much to bring up on this last one on the list, but, you know, it's just something to really think about, and it's something to really, you know, realise that, you know, the reason why I made this video was probably because of that, you know, negative stigma, because I know it's always been around. I always knew that, even like before I was a furry, but it's just something that I thought of, and I thought, hey, this thing could be made as a video, not only just like as an awareness video, but just as a video just for funs and giggles. Like I said, this isn't nothing to be like dramatic or something like that. It's just like a funny little video that I thought about making. So I do hope that you also enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one.